Yo, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the recap of that Nintendo Direct. It was mind-blowing. I will first and foremost say that for me, that was one of the best, and I kid you not, one of the best Nintendo Directs that I have seen for multiple reasons. Oh! No way, dude! First, when they dropped the Fire Emblem Engage, at first I was like, okay, what is this gonna be? Then I saw it was a classic RPG, tactical RPG, and then I saw that they were bringing in old characters, and I was like, holy cow. I remember the days of old when I used to sit in the racquetball courts with my friends, and we all had our Game Boy Advance SPs, and we'd play Fire Emblem until the bell would ring and then we'd be late to class. That's like literally what I did every lunch period in high school. The sequel to Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom. Guys, they didn't give us much, but what they did give us was incredible. I like the name. I'm into the name. I'm excited for the mechanics. It looks like they're incorporating some Skyward Sword mechanics into what's going on here. I mean, you see Link jump off a cliff and then he lands on something and he's flying. No paraglider in this scene right here, but what I'm excited is that they are giving us a new mechanic, a different area. And that area seems to be a sky area. And I think that it would make sense that they release the Skyward Sword on the Switch, and with all of the delays and all the different things, the fact that there's sky elements to Breath of the Wild 2, not even Tears of the Kingdom, I'm gonna have to like redo it in my mind. Tears of the Kingdom, that makes sense, right? So like Skyward Sword, sky stuff, Tears of the Kingdom, sky stuff. I think that's why we got Skyward Sword. Personally, I don't think that it was a mistake, right? That they just released that game because it's cutesy or whatever, they chose that one. Because we know that Twilight Princess and Wind Waker are two that are extremely anticipated and people really like those games. So now Skyward Sword makes sense to me, and I'm more inclined to play Skyward Sword because of the sky elements in Tears of the Kingdom. I can't even believe that. Also, here, dude, also, if you can't notice, I'm losing my mind. We got a date, 5/12/2023. 5/12/2023. Now, are we going to get new hardware? That's going to be the ultimate YouTube question that people are going to be asking over and over and making videos about. I don't know. I'd love to see some new hardware, but either way, 5/12/2023, ladies and gentlemen, this Zelda drop is going to be fire. And I am going to literally block out a week just to play non-stop. Now, into a couple other things that I'm really excited for. They gave us, a lot of N64 stuff. The N64 emulator, or whatever is on the expansion pack for the Nintendo Switch Online. You're going to want to get one of these because you're going to destroy it. Mario Party 1, Mario Party 2, Mario Party 3. Fun stuff. But the kicker, the 5-game kicker for me was Pokemon Stadium 1. Pokemon Stadium 2, and we don't know if they're going to integrate your Pokemon Home, but whatever. 1080 snowboarding, and they dropped Goldeneye. Goldeneye, ladies and gentlemen. Goldeneye. I mean, can you believe it? We're going to finally get Goldeneye back, and they didn't put a date for Goldeneye. In fact, they put a 2022 release for the Mario Party games and then 2023 for the rest. They also have Excite Bike 64 and Pilot Wing 64 in that group of games. And then they said releasing later, we got Goldeneye. So we don't know when that's actually dropping on the Switch, but I'll tell you right now, my mind is unbelievably blown because Goldeneye is going to have online multiplayer, and that is going to be a freaking riot. A freaking riot. I cannot wait for Goldeneye 64 on my Nintendo Switch. Now, getting into a few games that are more of a preference, I am so stoked for Octopath Traveler 2 because I was a huge fan of Octopath Traveler 1. Octopath being a game where you have 8 different characters that you choose a different story mode and you meet up with the other characters and you build out the story in different orders, a combination of different orders. The game's beautiful. The gameplay's great. It seems like they're adding a mechanic of daytime, nighttime, which could potentially change the way your character interacts. It's going to be fun, and I'm, again, a huge fan of tactical RPGs, but also a fan of classic turn-based RPGs, and Octopath Traveler is a turn-based RPG with some interesting mechanics in that, but also has a beautiful 8-bit or 16-bit HD, whatever they call it, 3D HD, 2D HD, I think it's called 2D HD, art style that just is gorgeous. Getting into another game by Square Enix, Crisis Core looks super good. It's a prequel to Final Fantasy VII series, and it looks like they're going to be having footage that looks like a prequel to Final Fantasy VII Remake series, but that is also coming to the Switch. Thankfully, it's not going to be coming to the Switch as a cloud title. That's something that I'm like super not into, is these cloud title games on the Switch. It's just a real problem, but it looks like this is going to be an actual full-blown game that you can buy. I don't know how they're going to implement it, and I'm kind of curious if it's going to run well, because we saw footage for It Takes Two, which is releasing on the Switch as a normal game, not a cloud game, and that looks kind of rough. It Takes Two makes sense for the Switch, right? Because it's a two-player game. You toss the Joy-Con to your buddy. Like that's game is built and made for a Switch-style system. Just it didn't look good. And that was kind of a bummer to see, because that game is so good, being game of the year last year, I believe, last year being 2021. It was, yeah, interesting to see that game. I mean, we got so many different farm simulators, which I don't really care, because I'm so into Stardew Valley or, Animal Crossing from time to time. So the other farm simulators don't matter. And, they reminded us that we're getting Bayonetta 3, as well as some other games. No talk of Advanced Wars, though. I really wanted to hear more about my beloved Advanced Wars 1 and 2 remake or re-release. And unfortunately, we didn't get any talk of Advanced Wars. And so for all you Splatoon fans, we have our first ever announcement for the Splatfest, which is going to be a 1v1v1. You choose between one of three things, whether it's, I don't remember actually, because I'm not a huge Splatoon fan. I'm gonna give it some more time, because I unfairly reviewed it and people have been riding me about it, and sure, I'll give it some more time. So Splatoon's getting a Splatfest. I'm excited for Tunic. Tunic's a game that is available on Xbox Game Pass for free, but for those of you who don't have an Xbox or don't subscribe to Game Pass, you can play it now on the Switch when it releases. You are going to have to purchase it, but Tunic is a really good game. It's difficult. It is ambiguous. They don't explain much, if anything at all, and I think that's a really cool way to start a game, especially something like Tunic that is a top-down dungeon crawling, beautiful, almost feels like Link's Awakening a little bit, not fully, but a little bit. Feels like an older school Game Boy Zelda game or SNES Zelda game, which I'm not mad at. But this Direct was amazing, and I want to know what you thought about the Direct. What did I not talk about? What is something you're excited about? Let me know in the comments below. Let's get this excitement going. Let's get pumped, because the next 6 months of gaming on a Nintendo Switch, next 8 months of gaming on a Nintendo Switch, seems like it's going to be an incredible, fun, action-packed time. Let's start the countdown for the May 12th, 2023 release. Let's hope not for a delay again, but let's start that countdown, because that, my friends, is really where the magic's gonna happen. That's all from me. This guy's out. Take it easy.